Hey, did you know I'm doing a toy drive for the kids? That's right. If you want to support underprivileged children this holiday season, click the link below or in my bio, and you'll be able to access our link to our toy drive. We're going through Amazon, so all you need to do is buy toys. You can see we've already got a ton of them. The more the merrier. We are looking for gifts still for the very young kids, as well as gifts for the older kids. Thank you to all who've already bought toys and donated. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and enjoy the video. Next up, coming on the stream, we have David. David is pro-life, and David thinks abortion has negative impacts on society. So let's find out. David, if you can hear me, can you please provide me with your age and pronouns?
Sure. My name is David. I'm 19 years old, and I'm a dude.
Okay, so what are your pronouns?
So I'll just say he, him. But I don't want to debate this right now.
Well, that's why you should just say it. No problem. Now, David, you think that there are good reasons to be anti-abortion and that abortions negatively impact society. What are the negative impacts abortion has on society?
Sure. I think that the main thing I'm focusing on in this debate is the current demographic crisis that's happening across the world with just a bunch of younger people having to support older populations, increasingly aging populations. And it just puts a lot of strain on our social systems, on Social Security, Medicare, all that. And I think that us killing a significant portion of unborn people is really contributing to that. And I think that it is bad for society as a whole.
How does abortion put a negative strain on our Medicare systems?
Because you have less young people being born who can support an aging society. You know, if you have the population pyramid being uneven, where you have a lot more people being dependent on the government rather than giving into it, it puts a lot of strain on the systems. And, you know, these systems are not going to last forever.
How many retired Americans are there currently?
I'm not sure, but I don't think that is relevant at all to the question. And the problem is that it'd be an increasing number.
Whoa. It would be directly relevant.
I don't think so, no. Because that's not really the question. That's not really what the question is.
What? You're saying that because there are more people who need to be benefited and less people, like the number of working people is going down.
Right.
So then we would need to look at the number of people not working versus the number of people who are working. That is your whole claim.
Yes, but the problem is giving the exact number does not really change that fact. And I think it's just you playing games in order to lead me somewhere.
What?
Because, hold on.
I'm asking you to substantiate your claim.
Where we're eradicating like a large amount of the young people, and we have an ever-increasing old population, which is true and which is in fact happening. You just can't have the young people there to support the system, and the system's going to collapse in on itself if you want to at least have like these social programs that I know we all support.
It just seems like you're running away from substantiating your claim.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that my claim is very relevant. It is a fact for sure that we have an increasing old population.
Yes, but we also have an increasing young population.
Well, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, we have a birth rate that's probably...
Birth rate wouldn't be the only determiner of whether our young population... Birth rate wouldn't be the determination of whether our young population is increasing, because we don't just calculate the population in our country by who's born.
Right, yeah, but the problem is that's the future generation, and that's who's going to be,
And
contributing to society
globally,
later on.
birth rates globally keep going up because the amount of people on our planet keeps going up.
Well, that's not true.
What's the global birth? What is the global birth rate?
The global birth rate now is at about 2.3, 2.4 births per woman. It was much, much higher decades before, and it keeps decreasing exponentially at like staggering numbers.
Okay, so how do we start having people? So you're saying abortion is at fault for the lowering birth rate?
No, but I don't think it's a positive contributor. I think it's a negative contributor that's making the problems worse. And
why do most people get abortions?
One reason to be anti-abortion, I think that's a good reason.
No, what you're explaining is a good reason to be anti-capitalism.
Okay. Well, I'm not pro-capitalism by any means, but
yeah. Abortion has nothing to do with this. The biggest reason why people in America, for instance, get abortions is because they can't afford a child. It's the number one reason. So it's not abortion's fault.
Okay.
Abortion is there to make sure that the financial burden of pregnancy doesn't have to be put on people who can't afford it, or the financial burden of child rearing doesn't have to be put on people that can't afford it. It's not abortion's fault. I mean, that the wealth is extracted to such a degree, right?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, with your claims, like a lot of countries that are really struggling out, they have much higher birth rates, and I just don't think that claim holds. And I think that
what claim?
Being able to restrict abortion would absolutely help in this scenario with population decline.
Restricting abortion would do is it would create people who are further impoverished. How is that a net benefit?
Well, I mean, I guess so. Maybe
it sounds like you just want a poor working class to prop up a retired class.
Well, I mean, if we don't have the working class, if we have a smaller working class, that puts strain on the people who are already working.
Yes, so then it's not an abortion issue, it's a wealth distribution issue.
Absolutely. So would you be in favor of limiting Social Security then?
No, I'd be in favor of redistributing the wealth properly.
Okay, I think that's besides the point. But I think that,
it's terrific.
Well, my point is here, Social Security, I just can't believe that these systems will exist much longer with an aging population that abortion contributes to. And I think it's going to put a lot more strain on the people who are currently here.
Yeah, but the reason it's putting more strain on them is because the wealth is being extracted from them at an exorbitant rate. If the wealth wasn't extracted from them at an exorbitant? Whatever the word is. If the wealth wasn't being extracted from them so highly, it wouldn't put as much of a strain on them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not pro-capitalism by whatever means.
No, but then that's what I'm saying. That corrects the issue, not restricting abortion. Restricting abortion doesn't, like restricting abortion, you are still going to put stress on these people because now not only do they have to pay for the retired class, they have to pay for children for 18 years. And then those children will have to then pay for children.
Yeah.
So you're just replacing one financial burden with another. One that I would argue is more expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, these people age and they contribute to society. I mean, the problem is, I'm going to keep repeating myself here, probably to no fruitful end, but I don't really think that having a declining population like this that abortion contributes to.
I don't care if the hold on, David.
Socialized.
David, I just want to David, hold on. David. I just want to point this out. I don't care if the population declines if it's from choice.
Okay, well that's fair, but it's going to put a lot more strain on our system. So unless you just start killing off the old people.
Yeah, but it's not abortion that's doing that. People are choosing not to have kids. They're choosing and again, the biggest reason is financial burdens. You could take abortion away and you would still have a large group of people who refuse to have children. Probably about the same amount.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. But are you willing to acknowledge that limiting abortion would have an effect on the birth rate and increase it to any means
And increase it
of live
within
birth?
any means? Yeah, you're
By
going
any
what you're
means,
going
would
to
it?
what you're going to have if you restrict abortion is you are going to have more people being born into a system that you have to pay for. What do you do with all these kids that people don't want that they're putting into the system? That's more money we have to support in the system. Yes,
Yeah,
you
in the
would,
short
yes, you
term, but
would.
in the long term, I mean, it provides such a. I mean, you look at the baby boom and how that ushered in like an age of
In the
prosperity for
long term,
America.
people who are born and raised in the system tend to need systemic help for most of their lives. So we would still be supporting them throughout the bulk of their lives. So no, in the long term, it's not going to matter. These people aren't working jobs that are going to have not en masse. Let me rephrase that. The likelihood when you're born into poverty or you're put into the system is that you stay in poverty and you stay in the system. Meaning you're probably not going to get as good of a job, as high paying of a job, meaning you're going to need to supplement your income through government assistance, meaning you are still going to be now the thing that you're trying to prevent.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point. So, but that would go back to societal reform, which is something you and me would have a lot more in common with. Um, so I think that there should be definitely ways that we should help these people inside these foster systems in ways that we currently aren't doing. And I think that killing them is in the womb is a far worse act than anything we can do. Which goes on the moral question, which I know we're going to have deep disagreements about, and I think it would be a fruitless conversation. But I think that being able to reform the system so that these people who would be aborted can become good functioning members of society with happy lives, I think that would be far better than
What if
allowing
all
what's
those
happening.
people, wait, any of those people that we were aborted could have been the next Hitler, right?
Well, yeah, they could have also been, the next president, the next pope.
They could have
I think
created
that's
the next
ridiculous.
Black Plague. It's just speculation. I don't care what these people could have, what these what they could have done for society. It doesn't mean anything because it's just a speculation. It's a hypothetical, right? At the end of the day, I don't see a moral negative in abortions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely a justified thing. I think that fetuses are not agents that have moral. God, what's the word I keep forgetting all the time? I don't think fetuses are agents with moral value. So I don't see a negative in abortion. Consideration. That's what I was thinking. They don't have moral consideration.
I have a couple questions for you. So do you think that the act of abortion is purely morally neutral?
Yeah, I think it's an amoral action. Yeah. Unless it's being forced upon you, then I don't think it's an amoral action.
Okay, that's interesting because I hear a lot of people, they talk about abortion is, they say it's a necessary thing that shouldn't happen.
No, I think it's an amoral action. I don't think it's
safe, legal, and rare.
No, I think it's absolutely amoral. I think if you're having an abortion that is post sentience, but it has to still be lethal because your life is on the line. I think then you could probably say it could potentially be unmoral but justified. But once you make the justification, then it becomes morally neutral. So I can't think of the maybe an abortion where somebody's like, oh shit, my baby's gonna be black, I want him aborted. Maybe then I would say it's probably an immoral abortion. But
right.
You still don't want it in your body, so it's still justified to get rid of it.
Oh, okay then. Do you think that there's any extent to which an abortion shouldn't happen?
I think that once the fetus is sentient or has the capacity for sentience at about 24 weeks, you should attempt to just take it out because at that point, 24 weeks, it's also viable. So there's no reason to necessarily kill it unless like I said, there's a medical reason. So I do think that because I believe sentience is what grants us rights. So because it has the capacity for sentience, I would say it has a right now not to be killed. It doesn't have a right not to die. Like, you can take it out, and if it doesn't survive, it doesn't survive. But you can just take it out at that point.
Okay, so there is moral connotations when the fetus is sentient as compared to not.
Yes,
so
I think sentience is what grants you personhood and personhood.
Then there's the moral issue.
Rights.
Okay.
But again, it would still be a justified ending of a sentient life. So
okay. But do you think that there should be any restrictions at all past that 24-week mark? Like, do you think that
not legally? No. If hospitals or doctors want to say, hey, we don't do lethal abortions after this point unless it's for medical reasons, that's fine. But legally, I don't think we should have restrictions. I think restrictions don't do anything but harm and makes doctors question what they should be doing. And what we've seen from countries like Canada, who have no restrictions, they have less abortions than us per capita. Their abortions, I think it's 97% of all abortions in Canada are done before the 12th week mark. So yeah, it just seems that restrictions are just an unnecessary burden placed on doctors.
Okay, well, I mean, with the thing about that too, I don't want to. Is that oftentimes, these Canada doesn't have the same communities that we do. So, I mean, in America, very unfortunately,
communities we do. What does that mean?
A much higher amount of Black children are killed. And do you think that could have any bearings on the abortion rate in Canada?
Because what would have a bearing is that Canada has less people impoverished than we do. It's not about like Black people. It's not that Black people get abortions at a higher rate.
I think a lot of Canadians would disagree with that, with the housing crisis and.
Wait, I don't care if they disagree with that. America has a higher rate of poverty than Canada.
Okay, well, I mean, countries define their idea of poverty far differently. I mean, like
yes, I would be using the same. Yes, you compare it to the cost of living, so I would be using it in the same.
Well, I mean, the cost of living in Canada is like getting ridiculous now. So I'm not sure that that's a fair point.
Again, when it comes, Canada has a more robust social safety net than we do. Like their cost of living is not as high as ours is. So I don't know what this is that you're saying.
Well, I mean, with housing prices, I mean, their housing prices are getting up there. They have increasing prices for goods.
Sure, I mean, but again, the thing that leads to rising abortion numbers is poverty. You've already acknowledged this.
No,
housing in the United States is 25 to 32% higher than it is in Canada. So yeah, it makes sense. Housing in the U.S. is 25 to 32% higher than Canada.
Right. Okay. Do you know when those numbers were from?
2024.
Okay. Really?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have more impoverished people here, so our abortion rates are higher.
Okay, but I mean, go to a bunch of other countries that have far lower abortion rates. That are, like for example, Poland. I mean, they have. Gosh, I don't think that they have legalized abortions, and their abortion rate is super low, despite not being nearly as financially well off as we are.
Well, Poland has an abortion, like almost like a near full ban on abortions. So yeah, they have a low abortion rate. They have a ban.
Right. When you have a ban on abortion, it just won't occur. And I think that, I mean, that's definitely what I'd be in favor for, and I think that would be the best option, especially with the way things are going now. I think it's just a different time now, and with
best
a decreasing population.
Best option for what?
Well, maybe not decreasing birth rate.
Wait, you haven't been. Hold on, David. This whole call, you haven't been able to substantiate why we shouldn't have abortions. So now you're just saying like, oh well, we should do a ban like this, but why? You haven't been able to justify why abortions are bad.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to go into the moral part because we're just going to fundamentally disagree there. But I think that maybe not economically, but societally as a whole, having less young people is detrimental to society. Having less
Yeah,
birth.
but I've already debunked this claim you made. We already went through this, and you even recognized how your argument didn't logically track when putting an abortion ban would just create more people dependent on the system than lessen the burden of people on the system.
Right, but it would. I mean, definitely in the short term, but I'm not sure how things are in the long term with this.
It would absolutely affect in the long term.
People who are in the foster care system, or people who
are born in poverty, and people who are born and placed into the system tend to stay in poverty and stay within the system.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's why I would agree with you that we should have services to help uplift these people from poverty.
Okay, then there's no reason to ban abortion then.
Right, but I mean, that would go into the moral part, which I was trying to go with, is that I believe that, even if these people are going through poverty, I don't think that that's a good moral reason to be killing them before they come out of the womb.
Yeah, you'd have to. Hold on. So now you have to justify. Right now, you're saying it's immoral to kill a fetus in the womb. Why? Why is that an immoral thing to do?
Because it's the act of killing a human being.
Why is killing a human being immoral?
Say that again?
Why is killing a human being immoral?
Because it's it's understood that killing a person is immoral because of the way that would ripple out through society if it was normalized. If killing people was normalized, it would destroy society. Abortions
weren't normalized, and it didn't destroy society. So that's
right. Yeah,
conversation doesn't.
You asked me why murder was wrong.
No, I didn't ask you why murder was wrong. I asked you why killing is wrong.
Killing is wrong. Okay. So, there's nothing wrong inherently. There's a difference between killing and murder. I think that we can both agree with that in a justified killing and justified murder. But I don't think that there's...
Well, no murder is justified. Killings can be justified. Murder is inherently an unjustified killing.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how I characterize abortion, because it's killing a fetus that didn't do any wrong in itself.
Okay. Why is it wrong to kill a fetus?
Because, we're just going in circles now. Because
no, we're not. You haven't substantiated. That is a circular argument. A fetus is a human being, so I know that you think it's wrong to kill a human being. I'm asking you why.
Absolutely. Well, it's because, this is not a question I'm properly prepared for.
Well, if you're going to have a moral conversation, you need to be. Because this is really important for the moral aspect of the conversation. Let me answer the question for you, right? The reason why it's wrong to kill a human being is because you're ending that human being's lived experience. This is a human that is living. It has wants. It has needs. It has a biological drive to access those wants and needs. And ending that experience permanently is going to be a bad thing because we all know that experience. We know what it's like to end that experience. A fetus doesn't have this until 24 weeks, which is why I place my level of moral consideration at 24 weeks. When a fetus reaches that stage where it has these things, now it's got moral value. Now it becomes a person because it has the ability in the brain, it has the mechanisms in the brain to now have that experience. But sans that experience, it's be like you split a rock in half. There's nothing experiencing anything.
Okay. Do you believe there's any value in human beings apart from our lived experiences inherently?
No, I don't think there's any inherent value in humans, no.
Okay. That's where I was saying that I think that we're just going to disagree. Because I don't really think that
where would humans get where would we get our inherent value from? Where would we get inherent value from? Where would we get inherent
Well, I
value
would
from?
get inherent value from God.
Okay.
That's tracking to another question.
Well, if you want to call back another day and talk about that, you can, but I do need to move on now.
Sure. Okay. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give as constructive of a argument as possible. This is my first time doing this, so I was a little flabbergasted. But I really appreciate you having me on.
All right. You have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Every time. Always. Always. Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you don't know me, I'm Jovan Bradley. I'm a leftist content creator who does debates, political commentary, gaming, and more. If this is your first video, thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope you subscribe. I post videos daily, and there are hundreds of past debates on my page for you to enjoy. Thank you to all my YouTube members. Your continued support helps me create as much as I can. Consider joining. A membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to our community Discord, early access to videos, and more. Shout out to my Tier 4 members. Call Me Vel, Bamji, Ryan O'Connors, Wednesday Leo Rain, Papa Snowflake, Kazim, Ryan Wright, Red Fairy DF, Not 3.6R, Sylvia Snow, Paul D, Zurith Moonpaw, Never Again, Emery Imogene, Ayla Ursus, Kelsey K, Jake Gorshander, Matthew Holloway, Vampy, Yemye, Mealy, and Dragon Nerd. Your continued support goes a long way in helping me continue the fight for equity, justice, and education. Thank you again for watching.